Welcome to PyData 2021 for our talk with Cor and Kevin. Cor is demystifying data at Go Data Driven, where he builds Azure data platforms and implements data use cases together with their clients. In his talk, he and Kevin will show one such use case from Interfood. And all right, this is your guys' time, so I'll pass the mic to you.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Welcome, everybody. So me and Kevin are going to talk about the wisdom of the crowd, amplifying human intelligence. I'm from Go Data Driven and Kevin's from Interfood. We'll start with an introduction. After that, we have a nice promotional video, which is the end goal where we build to during this talk. And then after the promotional video, we'll explain how we get there. To reiterate, like I said already, I'm trying to keep an eye on the question box. So there's a question box. Make sure you drop it in the question box and not in the message in the chat. We try to keep an eye on them and answer them during the talk, but we have some room at the end of the talk to discuss those questions. So enjoy. And so who are we? And I'm going to give the mic to Kevin.
Yeah, thank you, Cor. So I'm Kevin Dijsers. I'm Interfood's Global Analytics Manager, where I have responsibility over our global team of analysts, scientists, and engineers. I've got a PhD ongoing in high-dimensional statistics in Leiden University, and also have been a visitor at Stanford. That's also where that picture originated from. Some of you may recognize. And I've got a background in data consulting, for instance, at the United Nations, and I was in M&A finance before joining this career in data. Over to Cor.
Thank you, Kevin. So like Stephen said, I'm demystifying data at Go Data Driven. It's a favorite word of mine, and I like the saying, take away of some of the mystique behind data. And I think the talk right now we're going to have today, I think it's a perfect example how we do this, how we have this sort of mysterious goal and how we really work towards a tangible data product. I do this at Go Data Driven. I will talk more about Go Data Driven in a moment. I'm data engineer there. We also give training, so I do science training and engineering training. I have a master's in data science and AI, but I'm an engineer at heart. I'm active in the open source community, lately working on a data quality package called Solda Spark and also Solda SQL. I have some commits for DBT, and if you just generally have a look at my GitHub handle. And I'm also part of the PyData Amsterdam committee, so I'm very much fan of what we do here, sharing knowledge, and very thankful for the people hosting this global event. Kevin, can you talk about Interfood?
Yeah, very briefly, a few words about Interfood and actually what has connected Cor and myself. So Interfood is a global dairy trading company in the commodity business with about 2 billion euros of turnover, which means that we try to connect physical supply and demand in dairy products for about 1 million metric tons of milk equivalents every year. So that's a lot of logistics, and that's also what you see in our history, 50 years of dairy experience, where firstly, we offer services in logistics, but now also we add other services on top, such as, for instance, financial price risk management. And we do so for most of the many famous food brands in the world. So it's very likely that if you eat a bar of chocolate, there's some Interfood dairy in there, and the same holds for your ice cream. Now, as I mentioned, some of the services that we try to offer to our clients are not only in the physical product, but also in the financial space. And this has to do with the fact that dairy commodity prices are very, very volatile. And it also means why data is so important in the dairy business. And as you see here, this is volatility over the past years, which is actually fairly substantial. These are not Bitcoins. This is just the dairy futures. And that is also what has connected Interfood to an expert partner such as Go Data Driven.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. So yeah, about Go Data Driven, I think the name already says quite a lot. So we help companies to become data driven, and like Kevin already showed, That's also how we get involved with Interfood. We have 4 pillars, as we say. One of them is that we do like organizations more about strategy, help companies define how to become data driven, what the different parts of this are, what the journey is. The second pillar, that's where I'm involved mostly. And the third pillar, it's building data applications, so data platforms. We have a data platform proposition, but also the AI application. So it's the analytics platform for the machine learning engineering, but also implementing the use case themselves, so the AI and the data science. Thirdly, with training. So if you like what we do, definitely check out our training curriculum. What we believe, we're big believers on the knowledge sharing, but we also believe you can only become really good in something if you also can explain it to other people. So that's why we do training. And finally, we have the managed part in case of one of our clients, if they have a data platform or a AI application, we help them manage these applications. So this is us. This is the companies. And we'll start with a small video showing the Wisdom of the Crowd application. And like I said, after we're going to show how we get to this, but first the video. Kevin, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Cor. So that was indeed a video of the end product, a mobile app that tries to connect all of the wisdom of our traders globally and actually tries to distill information from that. And we actually now go over the concept of Wisdom of the Crowd and how we feel that it connects to the purpose that we have. So at Interfood, we believe in together for better. And that means a couple of things to us. For instance, that we give all of our employees a voice, that we try to play to win in teams, so that we actually kind of interpret that voice together and learn from it, and that we openly share that feedback. And as you already saw in the video, that means something about our competitive edge in the company and the underlying business that we try to pursue. So in dairy, that could, for instance, mean that we want to have a vision on what the price movement will be in a certain market. So what does the Wisdom of the Crowd actually tell us about such a vision? Well, it's a very old theory, and I believe, well, at least some people say it was Aristotle, that states that a group can make a better prediction than an individual. Now, to fellow statisticians, this is not new, but we hope to show a cool application of what this looks like in a company. So we're trying to amplify the human intelligence that we have throughout the organization with an AI model. And that's what we'll go into deeper in our session. Oh, yeah. And that will be according to this outline, Cor.
We'll start first with the data science. We're going to go show a little bit of code. So I think it's fun to have some code in the slides always, make it a little technical. After that, we show the data pipeline. I think it's good to know the system that we have in which we do the data science. And finally, we come back to the user interfaces, which was the app that we just saw in the video. So first the data science, and I think Kevin will explain the model.
Yeah, so the underlying goals, as I already mentioned, kind of to cater that vision of together for better, are that we want to do a couple of things with the information that we gather throughout the organization. So firstly, we use what we call the wisdom, so some sort of average estimate of all individual forecasts, and to try to quantify uncertainty using those individual estimates. That means that we can challenge our decision-making at the senior management level. And it also means that we get a better view and a better understanding of risk and return. Then comes the novelty, which Aristotle didn't think about yet, is that we want to under or overweight participants that consistently under or overperform. And that implies two things. Firstly, that everyone can participate and learn without downside to the group. So if you don't have a particular strong vision or strong performance somewhere in a certain market, that's okay. You can learn. And secondly, we will use the group weighted average because we believe that that might improve the simple average. And this is, of course, where the model training comes in. So 4th century BC theory meets 21st century technology.
Yes, thank you. So the model we have, I'm going to show them in a moment, is consists of 5 steps. And so what we do is we're trying to predict the price movements for 12 product market combinations. So we have, for example, the Americas, Europe, Asia, and they have different type of dairy products. I don't know all of them, but you can imagine like we have the milk powder, maybe have some kind of cheese. And for all those different combinations, we're gonna try to find the price movement. And this is done weekly. So the app opens weekly and people provide input weekly. And what we do then, we have 2 parts. We do first the training, and then finally we do the prediction, which looks ahead, right, to the price movement. The training part consists of 3 steps. Our first one is the ranking. So we rank the estimates based on the absolute difference with the truth. And we do this for every partitioned product market time combination. And this is a skill invariant. So this is the same for every product market combination. Then secondly, we make this rank a value between 0 and 1, where in this case, the 1 is if you're the best performing or you have the closest estimates. And always a person will have at least a little bit of weight. So nobody gets 0. And this goes back to everybody has a voice. So we always give some voice to everyone. But in generally, of course, people want to get a higher rank and higher, in this case, higher score means that you are closer to the actual price. And then thirdly, we smooth this over time. We take some average over time. And you can currently we simply have a moving window where you take the average, but you could also change this to, for example, an exponential smoother, which takes the more recent estimates, give them a higher weight than the not so recent estimates. Then at the moment, the app opens, so we have this already done this training, and people give their expectations for the price movement for the coming weeks. Then we have to, we're going to take those together. And what we do first is we normalize the beliefs into weights. So for example, not everybody always gives their expectations, and to account for these kind of things, we say, okay, everybody who gave their expectations, take those all together and then normalize the beliefs to a weight. And finally, if you don't take those weights and the actual expectations, you get your weighted average, which is the wisdom. I'm gonna have a look right now at the chat. We're gonna go to the codes. If somebody already has a question, then maybe now's a good moment. If not, I'm just gonna continue. All right, let's continue. So here's the code. Like I said, first step was the ranking. This is done in line 30. So we take the target. The target is the difference between the expected price and the actual price. As you can see, we take the absolute and then we take the rank. So in my opinion, quite straightforward to read, right? And then in line 43, we apply this for the market product horizon and period combination. So we do this for all the traders, right? All the traders get a rank from 1 to n, where n, capital N, is the number of traders. Then in the second step, we do the normalization of the rank. So we inverse a bit by using the shape, which is n, but we make sure that if you get the, so the highest, like rank number 1, which is the best rank, becomes the weight number 1. But if you had rank number n, then you get the weight 1 divided by n. That's what line 57 does. And we again do this for the more market product horizon and period combination. So that's the second step. And then the third step is the smoothing over time, right? So we do this every week. Every week the app opens, and then every week you get a certain belief, and then we smooth this over time. So as you can see right now, we simply have a rolling window where we take the mean, but you can also do the exponential smoothing here. And this is a thing you do product market horizon and trade ID. So you do this for one trader over the different periods. So these three things together are the training. Then we go over to the prediction. And like I said, in the case of the prediction, sometimes not everybody gives an estimate. So we have to normalize the beliefs into weights. That's what we do in line 88, where we take the weights, or the individual weights, and divide it by the sum. And we do this for every market, product, horizon, and period combination again. And finally, if you combine the weights with the estimates, and you also do this for the product, market, horizon, and period combination, and you sum them, you get to your weighted average. I get a question. It looks like a weighted ensemble through the time. Is that correct? I have to think about the ensemble part, but you could say indeed that that every trader in this case could be one model in some way, and then you combine them indeed together, which makes it an ensemble model. And then, so I think the answer to your question is yes. All right, so this was the science, and what I want to emphasize here is again about the demystifying data. What I think is really cool that we have here a model which is written down in clear mathematical equations, and we also baked in that everybody has a voice. So I want to emphasize is every trader gets at least the 1 over n weight, and this is how we translate such a vision, such a mission into code. And the second part, I want to show you the data pipeline for you to know a little bit more of the context that we use. So we have a data platform, and typically in a data platform or data pipeline is that you start on the left, and that's with the ingestion of data, right? So we have the data capture, the operational data. Then we put this in a data lake, and it's called a lake house because we also have the SQL server, and the SQL server is there for practical reason because most of our consumption reads from this SQL server like Tableau or an app. Actually, the ML workspace where we do the machine learning, that's what we just saw in the previous slide, data science, that one directly reads from the lake. So if you go back to the flow from a user perspective, oh, wait, I forgot. On top of the lake, we use dbt to do the transformations. But if you look at the flow from a user perspective, somebody is going to go look at the app, right? The app asks, hey, what's your expectation for this product market combination? And this is a separate app developed separately. And the backend of this app, the front end is developed in AWS, it's hosted in AWS, but the backend is in an SQL server, which is outside the data platform. So then that's where we store the data at first. Then we ingest the data into our data lake, and then you can consume it into our machine learning workspace. And for an example, the thing we do in the middle in the data lake is, for example, to make sure that we do the valuta conversions, right? Like US dollar to euros or metric conversions, and we account for all those kind of things. And there's a couple feedback loops. So one of them is that we get the estimates back into the lake so we can use them in the dashboard. But also we actually supply some data to the app as well, which reads from the SQL server. It's quite a lot, a big slide. I can do a separate talk on this alone, but I want to highlight one small thing here is we did a contribution back to dbt Spark, and we were able to write directly from our lake to the SQL server, which is, I think, a nice technical solution that we don't have to put another tool in there to move data from a storage to the SQL server. Kevin, can you talk us through the user interface?
Yeah, so as you already noticed that there's this user perspective that was also just discussed in the pipeline, and that really is this application that interfaces towards the traders. And it's based on our SSO login. It has the current market information for the trader to see, and then to decide where to put the vision for the coming weeks. It has product information on the different product market combinations, so it's really detailed what we exactly expect. And you can have your user settings on various valutas or various AVEX and various unit of measures. such that you can actually fill in the price movement in the kind of setting that you always think about every day of the week as a trader, whether you are in the US or in Asia or in Europe.
Yeah, thank you. So this was the wisdom of the crowd. I hope you enjoyed the talk. And like I said already, I think it was a nice example how we translated this vision of Together for Better to a tangible data product. And yeah, thanks for being here. If there's any questions, please let us know. I see in the chat, Stephen, the first question we already answered, and Tom, indeed, I think like the smoothing over time indeed helps to make sure that we don't that it doesn't go up and down too much.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, we've got a couple more minutes. I was going to ask if you've answered the test question from Tom yet.
Yeah.
To me, that ensures embedding inertia if market changes rapidly, then wage previously assigned to people can lead you astray.
Yeah, that's correct.
So
by smoothing over time, you stabilize the model in some way. And that's exactly what Tom says.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also another thing to mention is if the market changes rapidly, that does not necessarily mean that the traders that had high weight are now performing less. Maybe they can also actually anticipate on that rapid market movement. So there's a distinction between the smoothing that we do over time within a trader and the average that we take across traders. And both try to accommodate for the fact that we can follow the market as well as possible.
All right, you guys, thank you very much for being a part of the conference this year. And just wish you well for the rest of your day and weekend.
Thank you, Stephen.
All
Thank
right,
you for
then.
hosting us.
Thank you
Our
very
pleasure.
much.